All right, this is just a continuation of 5.3 day 3, just working on solving by factoring with all these different situations. So I want to keep throwing more problems at you and see if you can remember how to factor them. This is largely what the test will say. Find the solutions and you have to figure out how to factor it. All right, so pause the video, give this one a shot. And if you don't want to do the solve part, at least get the factor part here. Hopefully that's going okay. All right, here we go, rock and roll. So no GCF, I'd check there first, but then this is going to be the cube pattern. So what I've actually got up here is the cube minus cube. So the cube plus cube is actually the reverse of this. So cube plus cube factors to a plus b first, and then it looks just like this with a minus sign right there. So it's going to be a squared minus ab plus b squared. Sorry for not being able to fit that on there very good. But at any rate, A and B, at least originally, come from cube rooting these parts. So like if I cube root this and cube root this, A is just going to be x and B is just going to be 5. Okay, so now I'm going to use my pattern and I'm going to type it out here for you quick. Okay, so now that I know A and B, I'm going to put it in my pattern. So A plus B would be x plus 5. And then a squared would be x squared, ab would be 5x, 5 times x, and b squared would be 5 squared, 25. Okay, and now that we've broken it apart a little bit, we know one answer, right? If we set x plus 5 to 0, that'll get us one of our answers, a -5. Okay, and then the other two answers will come from this part, which seems like it might factor, but if you think of what multiplies to 25, there's no way to make it add up to -5. So this does not factor, which means we have to do quad formula. Okay, and I'm actually just going to pause the video and throw the work up because I feel like we've done that a bunch before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it here. I'm just going to throw the work up. Okay, so here's the quad formula. Again, I do the radical part off on its own. So it ended up being 25 minus 100, -75, which cleans up to 5i radical 3. Plug that back in, and that's what we get. So we have two imaginary answers from our quad formula to go along with our one real answer of -5. Okay, here you go, another one solving it. And again, you got to look for all these different situations, which is what I think makes this tough. Pause the video, give it a shot. All right, so first thing, get 0 on one side because it doesn't have that yet. So I'm going to get 0 to one side. Okay, and now I'm just going to start breaking it apart. No GCF, but this is the fourth power, second power constant pattern. Right, so what we're going to do here to factor is, again, instead of x and x, right, when we have a trinomial, it's normally x and x, but because this is x to the fourth, I'm going to use x squared and x squared, and then make it multiply to the -36 and add up to -5. So I believe -9, +4 will do the trick. So I'm going to use -9 plus 4. All right, and now that these are both x squareds, again, I could factor, this actually factors to x plus 3 and x minus 3, the one on the left, but there's really no need to factor further at this point. Just set the two parts to 0 and they'll be solvable with algebra steps. Add 9, take the square root, so you get plus or minus 3. And this one, -4, take the square root, and so you're going to have square root of a negative, so you're going to end up with, instead of plus or minus 2 imaginary. Okay, we got 4 solutions to this x to the fourth. This exponent, if I haven't said it 86 times yet, that's going to drive however many solutions your equation has. All right, last one for you to try. And again, you got to figure out which case it is and kind of go from there. All right, so I'm going to get 0 on one side, as usual. I feel like it's kind of an annoying step, I'm not going to lie. But anyways, now that 0's on one side, we have 4 terms, and that's a hint that we're going to factor with our grouping, right? So I'm going to group, and then out of the front 2 comes a 2 and an x squared, because because they both have at least x squared. That leaves us with x and minus 1. Out of the back, we can pull 3, x minus 1. Okay, and now the x minus 1's match, so take whatever's in front, 2x squared plus 3, right, whatever's in front, and then the parts that match, x minus 1, and make it into 2 factors. Set them to 0 and solve. So 2x plus 3 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, and then minus 3 on this one, divide by 2. So it's going to be a little weird, negative 1.5, but when we take the square root, we're going to get an imaginary there. So we're going to get plus or minus I, and then just leave it as square root 1.5. It's a little weird answer, but that's 2 imaginary answers. And then this one's just going to be 1. Add 1 to both sides. Boom, we got our answer. So sorry I can't circle this very well down there, but plus or minus I root 1.5 is our other pair of answers down there. All right, that is all. Thank you for watching. A lot of stuff in this section, right? Because there's a lot of different types of factoring. So the hard part is identifying which case, but this is your guide right here. Sorry it didn't fit. I guess I can move it over a little bit. But that's your guide for factoring. All right. Good luck. As always, let me know if you have questions.